video, the topic which I'm going to discuss is very important, which with respect to the exam point of view. It is multiple times repeated, so I would like each and everyone to please listen to this video very carefully and try to watch this video till the end. And please like this video before you watch. Okay, the like. If you want to like the video, you should please like it. So let us discuss with the concept of power consumption. Okay, so we are coming to the end of this module now. So we are left with only few topics here. The power consumption, in that we are having two important types of power consumptions. That is two primary components. That is static dissipation and dynamic power dissipation. Okay. So these two concepts are very important. Multiple times repeated questions. Okay. So that's why I thought you to do this. Power consumption. In CMOS circuits, the total power dissipation arises from two primary components. That is, one is static dissipation, and that is due to the leakage current, and dynamic dissipation, and that is due to the switching transient currents and charging and discharging of load capacitances. Okay. First, let us see with the static dissipation. So, for static dissipation, again, you should be considering the PMOS and NMOS transistors as the switches. Okay, yeah. So, consider complementary CMOS gate as shown in the figure here. You see here, we are considering one simple inverter as where the PMOS and NMOS transistors are acting as switches here. So, in the first case, what we have is V in is equal to 0 and V out is equal to 1. Okay, so when V in is equal to 0 and V out is 1, the switch PMOS switch would be closed and NMOS would be open. Okay, and for V in is equal to 1, the PMOS would be open and NMOS would be closed. Okay, so CMOS inverter states for static dissipation calculation. So when the input is at logic 0, that is when V in equal to 0, then MOS is off and PMOS is on. That is NMOS is off. Okay, so here NMOS is off. That is this is this switch is open, pulling the output to the VDD. Okay, since this is off, so the output would be directly going towards VDD. So that's why you would be getting the logic as logic 1. So that's why when the input is logic 1, that is when V in is 1, the NMOS is on and the PMOS is off. So see here the PMOS switch is open, pulling the output towards the ground VSS. That is, you see here, since the output is 0, so that's why the current would be flowing like this towards VSS, and in this case the current would be flowing towards VDD. Okay, so that's why it is 1 here and it is 0 here. So in both states, one transistor is off and there is no direct current path from VDD to VSS. Okay. So hence under ideal conditions, the quiescent current, that is the Q current, and the power dissipation are zero for ideal conditions. However, there exists a small leakage current due to the reverse bias junctions between the diffusion regions and the substrate. Okay. So there is one simple model which illustrates these parasitic diodes on the CMOS inverter here. So the parasitic diodes are simply the diodes which are used to handle the doping concentration, that is the electrons and holes with respect to the p substrate or n substrate. Okay, so here in this case it is n substrate, so we are using the p well. So for p well you should be having both the n plus and p plus ions, so that's why we are considering the diodes that is on all the four terminals. Okay, yeah. The diode D1 models leakage from the P well to the substrate. You see here the diode D1 models. This D1 is a leakage from the P well to the substrate. So the reverse bias leakage current is modeled by the diode equation. So the diode equation, you all might be knowing it. That is I naught is equal to Is into e to the power QV by KT minus 1. So this equation you might be knowing it. Okay, this is not new to you all, where Is is the reverse saturation current, V is the voltage across the diode, Q is the electronic charge, K is the Boltzmann constant, and T is the temperature in Kelvin. Okay, so the static power dissipation, the general equation is given by Ps is equal to summation, where n is tending from 1 to n. Okay, summation from 1 to n, leakage current into VDD. Okay, so the leakage current would be taking part here, where n is the number of devices. For example, a typical static power dissipation due to leakage for an inverter operating at 5 volts is between 1 to 2 nanowatts. Okay, after the, if they have given some data here, see if this is 5 volts, the answer for static power dissipation for due to the leakage for an inverter, it is 1 to 2 nanowatts. Okay, so this was all about the static power dissipation. So please note it down. Next, we have one more important kind, that is dynamic power dissipation. Okay, so in static it was very easy, but for dynamic, you see the difference here. When the output switches starts either from 0 to 1 or 1 to 0, both NMOS and PMOS device conduct for a brief interval. So the sentence means that for static power dissipation, the inputs would be input is 0 when and if the input is 0, the output is 1, and if the input is 1, the output is 0, right? But here in this case, the when the output switches states, that is either from 0 to 1 or 1 to 0, both NMOS and PMOS devices conduct for a brief interval. That is the conduction, that the PMOS and NMOS won't be on or off state. Both the transistors would be in the on state only. Okay, only the logic would be getting changed. It would be following the inverter characteristics, but the NMOS and PMOS transistor would be conducting for a brief interval. That is, they won't be in the off state. Okay, they would be on forever. So this causes a short duration current pulse from VDD to VSS. Additionally, the current is drawn to charge and discharge the load capacitance, which is typically the dominant component of the dynamic power. This short circuit power dissipation is important in IO buffer design and is influenced by gate design and capacitance. So you see here, this graph is for the dynamic power dissipation. They have shown it here. Okay. Assuming a step input with rise fall times much smaller than the petition period, the average dynamic power dissipation for a square wave input with frequency as shown in the figure below is given by PD is equal to CLV square, CL into VDD square into FP. Okay. So this is the equation for dynamic power dissipation, where VDD is the supply voltage, CL is the load capacitance, and FP is the switching frequency. Okay. So this, in this way, the dynamic power dissipation is defined. So this equation shows that dynamic power is proportional to both the capacitance and the square of the supply voltage, and it increases linearly with the given frequency, that is the switching frequency. Note that it is independent of transistor parameters. That is, whatever the transistor parameters we have, it would be independent of that. That is, it won't be linked with any other parameters of the transistor. Okay. So here the square wave illustration of dynamic power dissipation you see here. So when the signal is high, so there would be the dissipation happening, that is from high to low. Okay, and when the signal is dropping from high to low, that is again the dissipation would be taking place, that is from low to high, and the same way. So where the changes is taking place, so that TF is mentioned as the fall time, and here this is the waveform for the dynamic power dissipation. Okay, so waveforms for determination of dynamic power dissipation with respect to the change in the logic, that is from firstly it was 0, then it changes from low to high, so that is from VDD it falls down to 0. Okay, where similarly here you see here it would be drastic from high to low, so that's why it is falling from so it was initially low, now it is moving towards high, and then it is a constant 0. So here also it's constant and it changes accordingly. Okay, so the total power dissipation now is the sum of static power dissipation and the dynamic power dissipation, that is P total is given by PS plus PD. Okay, so this is the total power dissipation. If you want to calculate the total power dissipation, you should be knowing the static as well as dynamic power dissipations. Then only you could be calculating the total power dissipation. Okay, so these are some of the numericals with respect to the formulas which we have discussed. Okay, so these things are all I'm not going to cover. So this would be available in the description. These notes you go and see these problems. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's all, guys. This was the thing we have. I wanted to discuss about the power consumption, because this is a very important concept, and this would be appearing for the exam as well. Okay, yeah. So that's all for the video, guys. Thank you for watching till here. Like, share, subscribe to our channel. Keep supporting us. Thank you.